Huntsville keeps showing up on those most overlooked real estate markets lists, which at this point means it is one of the most thoroughly examined hidden gems in the American South.
Verena Johnson has been writing through exactly that tension, covering government-backed buying programs, what accessibility really means in a neighborhood, how the market's growth shapes risk, and what it actually takes to build long-term wealth through property.
Let's start with the programs and process questions that trip up buyers before they ever make an offer.
The core argument across these posts is that most buyers disqualify themselves before they ever talk to a lender. And that gap between assumption and reality is where the most expensive mistakes happen.
The post on government-backed homebuyer benefits puts it plainly. Many buyers mistakenly assume USDA loans only apply to farmland or extremely remote locations. In reality, some suburban areas outside major city centers may still meet eligibility requirements.
So the upshot is that buyers who rule out USDA without checking the eligibility map may be leaving a zero down payment option on the table in neighborhoods that are anything but rural.
VA loans carry a similar stigma. Some sellers still treat them as complicated, even when a prepared VA buyer can close just as cleanly as anyone else.
The post on simplifying the home buying process makes that point directly. Financing strength, offer structure, and clear communication shape how sellers respond. And that's where local expertise becomes the difference between a competitive offer and one that gets passed over.
And the zero down payment post is careful to note that eliminating the upfront down payment does not eliminate the importance of budgeting, emergency savings, or long-term financial planning. These are tools, not shortcuts.
The post on navigating government programs adds that FHA, VA, and USDA each carry specific appraisal standards and property conditions. Buyers who don't know that going in can hit delays they never anticipated.
Across all of it, the Essential Guide to Buying a Home in Huntsville frames the same discipline: financial clarity before browsing, not after. Pre-approval isn't a formality. It defines your search and signals seriousness to sellers.
The post on real costs of homeownership extends that further. Mortgage payments are only one line item. Property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and HOA fees all shape what affordable actually means month to month.
And the post on avoiding common buying mistakes flags the emotional trap, falling for staging or a fresh paint job while overlooking structural concerns is a pattern that shows up more than once.
The posts on foreclosures, inspections, and closing costs tie it together. Inspections aren't a hurdle, they're leverage. Significant findings mean buyers can request repairs, a price reduction, or concessions before committing. Closing costs, meanwhile, are where first-time buyers most often get surprised.
The Essential Insights post puts the stakes plainly. Buyers who understand the full cost picture before making an offer are in a fundamentally different position than those who don't.
Which connects directly to something buyers often underestimate: where the home sits, not just what it costs. The Neighborhood Growth post frames the central question clearly. Growth creates opportunity and complexity in equal measure, and the buyers who benefit most are those who understand which stage a neighborhood is actually in.
The podcast episode on Huntsville home buying and investing puts it directly. Some investors purchase homes based solely on online estimates without understanding local rental competition or maintenance demands.
What that means in practice is that a growing market doesn't automatically produce returns. Zoning changes, infrastructure timelines, and rising property taxes can reshape what a neighborhood costs to own well after closing.
The post on how the housing market impacts first-time buyers and investors adds the legal layer. Purchase agreements have real deadlines, contingencies have real consequences, and information asymmetry quietly costs new buyers real money. The posts on market trends, financing, and property value, and on understanding the real estate ecosystem both reinforce the same point. Supply, demand, interest rates, and employment trends all interact, and reading only one of them gives an incomplete picture. Patient, grounded buyers tend to outperform the ones chasing a perfect entry point. That's the consistent message, and it applies just as directly to long-term wealth building.
The wealth building post lays out the foundational principle directly. Equity is the difference between what a property is worth and what is still owed on it. As mortgage payments are made over time, equity gradually increases, a process the post calls forced savings.
So every mortgage payment is quietly doing two jobs: covering the obligation and stacking an asset. That reframe matters for anyone who thinks of a mortgage as just a bill.
Leverage gets the same honest treatment. It can significantly increase returns when values rise, but it also increases exposure when conditions shift. The post is careful that leverage rewards planning, not optimism.
The rental income and ROI post sharpens that. Cash flow has to be calculated after maintenance, taxes, insurance, and management fees. Positive numbers only count if they're real numbers.
The Hidden Challenges post and the Risks and Opportunities guide both flag vacancy risk as the variable new investors most consistently underestimate. Even short gaps between tenants disrupt annual projections more than the headline yield suggests.
And the post on what makes Huntsville a smart investment for families and professionals ties it back to fundamentals. Aerospace, defense, and technology employment keeps demand stable, which is the foundation everything else builds on.
The through line is discipline. Equity builds quietly, leverage cuts both ways, and the investors who hold through cycles tend to come out ahead.
Which is also the core of the risk and reward question. What ownership actually costs versus what it returns over time.
The post on what makes Huntsville real estate a smart investment frames the ownership question around something most buyers don't fully account for. A home is both a place to live and a financial asset, and those two roles don't always pull in the same direction.
The Risks and Opportunities guide is direct about where things go wrong. Buyers who borrow at the ceiling of lender approval without accounting for rising insurance, maintenance, and tax costs turn an opportunity into monthly pressure.
Appreciation is real in Huntsville's market, but the post is careful. It's not uniform, and properties in areas without sustained development or strong school access don't perform the same way as those near employment hubs.
The reward side holds up when the preparation does. Slower market periods offer negotiation power that disappears in competitive stretches, and buyers who stay financially ready tend to access deals others can't. The consistent message across both posts is that ownership rewards patience and realistic budgeting, not speed or optimism alone. Government programs, neighborhood growth, equity building, honest risk math. The thread running through all of it is that preparation is what makes any of it actually work.
Huntsville keeps growing, and the gap between buyers who understand their options and those who don't only widens with it. More on that next time.